Are there things you want to do in your life, but your thoughts keep you on the sidelines in life? Today we're talking about overcoming your mental hangups on this episode of Coffee with Tea. Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Coffee with Tea. I'm your host, Tonia Tyler, and I'm excited because I have Mr. Johannes Atlas, who will be on us talking today about basically overcoming anything that's mentally holding you back and how to find your voice. So without further ado, I'd like to bring on Mr. Johannes Atlas. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me on, Miss Tyler.
I know he just didn't go Miss Tanya. You can call me
Tanya. My bad.
No problem. No problem. I'm retired military, so we don't have the formal stuff went out the window when I was.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know you were in the military. Awesome. Thank you for your service.
Well, thank you. So I am now a podcast host. Who would have thought that? But it's not about me today. We're going to talk about you. And the funny part was you're the first person I actually reached out because I was so nervous about inviting you on to be my podcast. And you said yes. So I was like, yes. And what it was is your story captivated me. I saw on a site that we were on, and I said, you know what, I'm going to reach out to this gentleman. And you came on. So I want to say thank you for accepting my invite.
Yeah, thank you for reaching out. I appreciate it. Really do appreciate you reaching out here.
So
I'm here to serve. So whatever I can do.
Well, thank you. We're talking about. I wrote on my notes that basically figuring out mentally that you shared with us a very personal story. And before we really get into it, I really want to know, like, who are you and what do you do, and then we can dive into your story.
Okay, so my name's Johannes Atlas. Growing up, I played a number of sports: baseball, basketball, football, tennis, Muay Thai. So now I do public speaking, you can kind of see here. I have what's called Poland syndrome, and so it's characterized by the underdevelopment of one side of the body. It's on my chest. I don't have any chest muscle on this side of my body, and so it's all all on my right side. So just for people who might just be listening only, my right hand can literally fit in the palm of my left hand, just to kind of give you an idea there. But like I said, growing up, I played a number of sports, and I pretty much had to figure it out. I've never allowed it to stop me from doing anything, and that's kind of like the uh, the the benefit to it. It's given me a mentality to really just figure it out, and that's kind of like my whole the strength of it all is me having to figure out life and figuring out how to do things, and it's transferred into other things moving forward, and just learning how to figure things out, and eventually it works itself out.
Right. And I'm thinking as you're sharing your story, it's like we all have some kind of mental, I guess, a hang up in our mind that we have to figure out. Yours is a physical form that people can see, but some of us have a lot of mental hang up that's just keeping us from going forward, is what
Right.
I'm hearing. And basically, I thought your story was really compelling because you hid it for a long time, and but now that you're embracing it, you're really starting to come into your own being or your own we say alignment. So how has that have been for you?
Yeah, so it's funny. I didn't really become very conscious about my hand until about high school. And so, because of course in high school, everybody wants to fit in and be cool. And so because I wanted to fit in and be cool, but this wasn't cool to me. So I hid my hand in my pocket all the time. I mean, when I say all the time, I mean all the time. Unless I was doing something where I needed two hands, my hand was in my pocket all the time because it was just from being teased and being made fun of and just hearing the comments and remarks and things that it made me feel insecure, on top of, like I said, trying to want to fit in and whatnot. And so after high school, I got into finance, but it was more like a leadership and self-development course. And so because I wanted to grow as a person, I tried to get out of my comfort zone, and I ended up joining the Riverside Chamber of Commerce. And business 101, you look somebody in the eye and you give them a firm handshake. And so I was literally nervous to get into business for that reason, because I didn't want to be reminded of the comments and everything that people would make and the faces and whatnot. And so, but the funny thing is, some people, they give a firm handshake. I mean, like a firm handshake, and they squeeze the crap out of my hand. And I'm like, you see, it's little. Why are you squeezing so hard? Like, goodness gracious, relax. so, so I've always just, like I said, I wanted to get out of my comfort zone. And so that was kind of leading up to early back in May, actually, where I was just feeling kind of stuck at that kind of period of time, and I really wanted to grow as a person. And so though being in business and shaking a lot of hands, I became more comfortable with my hand. There was still that part of me, there's still that part of that piece of insecurity still there. And so, like I said, back in May, I prayed. I'm like, God, open my eyes up to me beyond the limitations of my understanding. And so, because I was ready for the answer, it was about 2 weeks, probably about a week and a half to 2 weeks later, I got me the answer to what I would pray for. And so, God had opened my eyes up to back into high school, where I did get teased and did get made fun of. Like I said, it felt like a prison for me to be constantly hiding my hand in my pocket all the time like that. But like I said, he opened my eyes up to the fact that, going back to those moments, what I had made those moments mean about me was that I'm not enough. From being teased and being made fun of, I had made that moment mean that I'm not enough. That's how I interpreted those moments. But when you look at it from a camera's point of view, nothing in that moment means that I'm not enough. Nothing in that moment means that. But that's what I ended up making it mean.
Right.
And so that's how I then identified myself moving forward, is that I'm not enough. And so it just played out in just very little ways. And so, and like I said, in God opening my eyes up to that, I looked at the moment without feeling like that, but I was able to affirm the opposite, and say, no, I am enough. Who I am as a person, I am enough. And so since then, I mean, it was just in just that moment, it was such a freeing moment, because I was able to get down to the core, to the pebble in the middle of this giant snowball. I was able to get to the core of why I felt that way, and bring resolution to it. And since then, it hasn't been an issue at all. Just during the summer, I went to the beach for the first time, and I swam with my shirt off. I mean, I feel so much more free now.
Right. So my before we really dive down into it, and I always like to remind this my moment. Hey, if you're enjoying what Johannes has put, did I say that right? Johannes is put please hit that give us a thumbs up, give us some comments if you like. Let us know that you're getting his nuggets that he's dropping and you're picking them up. So I like to go into letting that reminder know, let us know. But as we get into this, as we dive down deeper, it's like, what did you have to actually do to really did you start asking questions of yourself? I mean, how did you get to the point where, did you just answer yourself, or did you go and seek guidance? How did you get to that point?
Because I really wanted to grow. That was the thing. And I was, in me wanting to grow, I personally, I felt like I was, truly open to not in a sense being not in a sense being criticized, but I was open to, there's a word I'm looking for, but constructive criticism. There we go. I'm like genuinely open to constructive criticism. I'm open to growing and whatnot. And so that was the thing. I was ready. That was the main thing, is that I was ready. And so in that, it's like when we pray for things, and when we're seeking guidance on something, it's like when we're not ready for the answer, we're going to miss out. We're going to miss out on what's being said, or we're going to miss out on what it is that we're looking for. And so that's like the main thing, is that just that we have to be ready for whatever, we have to be ready for the answer. And I mean, and a lot of it also comes down to awareness, and being aware of our feelings, being aware of our emotions. And like when you go home and you lay down at night and you're dealing with all those emotions and feelings and things going on the inside, it's being aware of that, and asking yourself, why am I feeling like this? Like, what's going on? Why am I thinking this way? And just seeking, looking and being aware of self.
Right.
Is a lot of what it is.
Right. Like I think we touched on it a little bit. I mean, you have a physical difference that people will pick up on. But like I said, I think we touched on it that some of these that hangups are not physical. I mean, it's just mentally hanging up because I mean, you still have your hand, but you knew that it's not going to keep you from doing what you want to live in your life. So that's
Mhm.
what I'm saying. You said you were prepared, so it's like, did you seek a mentor, or did you just read? I mean, how did you get into developing that kind of mindset, or it just light bulb popped on? I mean, how did it
Mhm.
go? How did it get there?
Gotcha. No, it was literally just, yeah, just the seeking guidance. And I mean, it was in that moment of me, like I said, when I prayed, I'm like, God, open my eyes up. That was the moment. It was like, I said, God, open my eyes up to me beyond the limitations of my understanding. And I was ready for that. And because when we're ready for what it is that we're asking for, what it is that we're seeking for, we're creating that space for an answer to come. Because if you can pray and ask for and look for guidance on something, but if you're not ready, there's no space for the answer to come. And so, in just like I said, me praying that and me seeking guidance, and me, waiting for the answer. I mean, that was it. I mean, it was just that moment. Like I said, me praying, and God gave me revelation, and He opened my eyes up to what that moment was.
Okay,
But it's a lot.
no, I
Oh
didn't
no, I
mean
was
to cut
just
you off. Go ahead.
okay. No, you're good. You're good. But no, I was gonna say just a lot of it is just the willingness to see what is. It's being willing to just look inside and like I said, it's just asking yourself, why am I feeling this way, and being aware of our feelings is just a lot of what it is.
Right, and you were like said you were I'm not trying to like I just not trying to like be hard headed, or I'm just like
No,
trying
no,
to like if you were reading things, or did you have a mentor? That's what I was like trying to get at. But like I said,
gotcha.
you
Okay.
were just asking for revelation or some kind of insight to open your eyes.
Yeah, yeah, because I mean, it's not. From reading and getting a mentor, like you can get a mentor, like people can kind of help you, guide you through it, but it's also a lot of willingness on self, because it's all these feelings and things that we've dealt with before, because a lot of it is just suppressed emotions, it's suppressed feelings, and nobody can bring those out but you. But the thing is, we have to be willing. Like people can help bring them out, but you have to be willing to speak about it. We have to be willing to say what's on our mind, say what's on our heart, and be open about it. Like, as it's I've worked with people through some of their issues and emotional baggage and things, but it's the part in which the breakdown comes is there's certain parts of the puzzle being left out. And so it's like when we are truthful and honest about what's really going on in ourselves, and it'll come out, but it's really just me dealing with what's going on the inside. It's just me dealing with me, because nobody can deal with me like I can deal with me, because it's me at the end of the day. I know I know the feelings, I know, like, that's really what it is. It's just me learning to deal with me.
Right, right. I love it. So thank you for clarifying that. Like I said, I just needed, sometimes I don't get it, and if I don't get it, maybe
No, no,
somebody
you're
else
fine.
might get
You're fine, you're
it.
fine.
So really, I just wanted to clarify that, and really, where do you go forward with this? I mean, we're going into 2020 and going into 2021. What is it that you want to leave the audience with?
I would say the main thing. Okay, so I just have like a lot of analogies just to
No, go
kind of
ahead,
bring
go
it all
ahead.
into. Okay, so I'll try to crunch it down just for the sake of time
You
here,
got
but
plenty of time. Got six
um,
minutes, so we still good.
okay, cool. Okay, so I've been kind of looking at it like this. So our body is like a house. So we, like, as a physical being, we're like a house. And so we are a spirit that possesses a soul that lives in a physical body. The spirit is what gives us life. The soul is our mind, our will, and our emotions. It's what separates one person from the next. It's what makes me me, and it's what makes you you. And then we just so happen to live in this physical body. So what you see as Johannes is just a physical representation of Johannes, because I'm not my body. I'm more than my body, as you are more than your body. And so like I said, I kind of look at it like our body is a house, and our soul is the inside of the house, because what makes a house a home is what goes on the inside. what happens on the inside of the house is what makes a house a home. And so when ideally looking at it, so it's like, would you rather have the outside of the house, look kind of like a mess and then the inside of the house be immaculate? Or would you rather have the inside of the house be a mess and the outside of the house be immaculate? I've asked that question a number of times. A lot of people would rather have the inside immaculate and the outside be kind of a mess. Ideally, yes, we'd rather, both of them be, immaculate, but just for example purposes. And so, because like I said, we live on the inside. We spend all of our time on the inside of the house. And so ideally the same thing when you go home and you lay down at night, you have to deal with what's going on the inside of your house. And so it's a lot of it is about cleaning what's going in on the inside. It's maybe moving some stuff around and getting rid of some old furniture, some of the stuff people brought in and you don't want anymore. Maybe it's dusting up and cleaning, just cleaning up the inside of the house is what a lot of it is. It's being willing to deal with. We have to be willing to deal with our emotions and deal with our feelings, deal with what's going on in the inside, because the longer we keep it there, it's gonna come out in some way that we don't want it to. Long story short.
Right.
And so really it's we have to just learn to deal with with what's going in, with what's going on the inside. Is probably the best thing I could leave you guys with is just you have to be willing to deal with our soul, deal with the past, and deal with some of those feelings that we suppress. Is we got to deal with it.
Right.
It can't stay there forever.
I like it because, like you said, you're the only person, you got to live with yourself forever. So,
Yeah.
would you want to live with yourself like the way you are? It's quick to blame other people, but yeah, you're right. I love that analogy because you know what it reminds me a little bit about, and I walk a lot and I see how people have their yards look so beautiful, but you're like, I wonder what the house looks like on the inside.
Yeah, it's right. It's like, yeah, the outside looks great, but what's going on the inside? That's at the end of the day what really matters. It's what's going on the inside.
I love that.
Yeah, that's where.
Because they look great.
Because like you never know. You never know what's going on the inside. It could be abuse. Unfortunately, abusive relationships, or it's you never know. You never know.
Right.
And
So I got two questions for you because, like I said, you looks, for those who can't see him, he looks so young. And so my question is, like, where did your spiritual journey start to pick up? I mean, was it because of the hand, or did you have this did you grow up in a church? I mean, how did you get to this level of spiritual understanding?
Yeah, so I grew up in church. I did grow up in church, and my dad, I can credit a lot of it to my dad as well, because my dad is very wise, and so I learned a lot from him, and then just from that, seeking myself, being because in the Bible says, "In all you're getting, get understanding." And so, and that's the thing, we have to be willing to seek wisdom and get understanding on on a situation, because it's too often we only see one side, and so we react in a certain way. But then if we saw the other side, then it would have been a different reaction. So, but it's and so I grew up in church, and then after I graduated high school, I stopped going for a couple years and being a heathen and partying and all this stuff, and just living my life, having fun and whatnot. But I don't it wasn't a long profitable path. It would have been short lived. But so after that, I wanted to go back to church, but I started working, and I started working on Sundays, and so I stopped going to church because of that. And so I prayed. I'm like, Lord, help me get back at church, and I felt the pull, me being pulled away. And so, because like I said, I was raised in church, and I stopped going, I felt myself getting really distant, and I wasn't liking where it was going. So I desired to want to get my spiritual life back together. And so just from there, it's just the desire to want to grow and want to get closer.
Well, I definitely wish you continued success on your spiritual growth, but I really have to ask and let people know, where can people find more information about you, your services, and what you do?
Yes. So I'm on Instagram. It'll be JO_speaks. YouTube, Johannes Atlas. It's like Johannesburg in South Africa. That's actually one of the best places to reach me, because I have a program coming out on YouTube. I'm working on it right now, and so hopefully it'll be done by the end of the year. So beginning of next year, it'll be out for you guys to enjoy. And Facebook, my company is Speaking to the You and You. You can reach me there as well.
Well, thank you, Mr. Johannes. I love their our information. I would love to. This is an additional question that just popped on my head. Would you willing to come back and maybe go on to a deeper dive and some
Oh,
more
of course. Of course, yeah. Because there's a lot more that I would like. I love to share this stuff, but unfortunately, just time's sake, and so yeah, I'd love to come back and share a lot more.
All right. Well, thank you. And I also want to remind our listeners, first of all, thank you for watching. And second, feedback is always welcome. Emails if you have any guest and show ideas. Links to all of the sites that Johannes mentioned will be in the description box. So make sure you check out them gems down there. Don't just skip it. Look at it. Thank you for watching. Give us a thumbs up if you're enjoying the insight and you want to follow more. Make sure you hit that subscribe button over there. And remember, take things in stride, go with the flow, and create your own path. And we'll see you back here on another episode of Coffee with Tea. So bye-bye for now. Share with us, what was one of your takeaways from today's show? Post your answers in the comments.